Welcome to Natural Bridge State Park. I'm Ranger Elizabeth, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about something that's about 460 to 500 million years old. It's so old that there's not even any evidence of dinosaurs in the rock. There's your hint. Let's go check it out. Here we are. I bet you can't guess why we call it the Natural Bridge State Park. The bridge itself is 215 feet tall. The top of it weighs about 36,000 tons, that's 72 million pounds, or 360 blue whales. And I reference whales because the Natural Bridge itself was actually referenced in the book Moby Dick. So a long time ago, remember I said about 460 to 500 million years ago, this entire place used to be a cave or a cavern. So we're standing where eventually those walls of the cavern eroded and fell down. Now they eroded from the creek on my right. So remember, this is the Cedar Creek, and it always ran through here. So it might have started as a trickle and constantly eroding the sides of the walls, causing it to turn into what we see today.
When looking at the geology of the bridge, you can see a lot of gray rock. That is the limestone, which makes up the majority of Rockbridge County. The white you can see is the calcite in the rock, and the reddish-orange that you see is something called iron oxide, otherwise known as rust.
Over the years, many people have come to visit the Natural Bridge. Legend has it that a strapping 16-year-old George Washington even came to visit on a survey and climbed the south wall of the Natural Bridge itself and carved his initials. Let's go check it out. About 25 feet up on the south wall of the Natural Bridge, directly behind me, you'll see a white rectangle. Inside that rectangle are the letters GW. Now, we don't have any paper documentation proving that George Washington was ever actually here, but we do have his initials set in stone. A few years later, in 1774, Thomas Jefferson purchased the Natural Bridge and the surrounding acreage. He then hired a man named Patrick Henry to stay in a two-room cabin on the property and give tours to anyone that wanted to visit. We here at Natural Bridge State Park like to think of Patrick Henry as the first park ranger. On the East Coast, the other competitor for natural wonders of the world is Niagara Falls. If you look behind me, you'll see something that looks a little more man-made and less natural. Well, in the 1920s, Niagara Falls became electrified, meaning they got lights. But we couldn't be left in the dark. Get it? So in 1927, we became electrified too, and we got lights. So what you see here is part of the light system that we use for a light show. Along this wall, and the one behind you as well, there are tons and tons of signatures or initials or letters carved into the rock itself. Here's a closer look.
The names and initials carved on the bridge were made mostly in the late 1700s to the early 1900s. One in particular is the name of Emily Stevenson. She was the daughter of an early manager of the Natural Bridge Hotel. Her legend says that she used to sit at the top of the bridge and write poetry. It is said that one of her admirers carved her name in the rock to impress her. Her name is the only female name found on the bridge. The majority of the names came from the fact that just up the road in Lexington, there are two schools, Washington and Lee University and the Virginia Military Institute. In the middle of the 1800s, the cadets and students used to enjoy competing to see who could climb the highest and make their mark on the bridge. Although this is an intriguing piece of history that one can see, this type of activity is now prohibited. Thomas Jefferson's initial purchase intended to preserve and protect this natural wonder and wanted to prevent any defacing of the bridge. After he passed away, the ownership of the bridge changed hands many times over the years, until 2016 when it became a state park, providing a safe and beautiful place for everyone to enjoy.
That's it for our quick tour of the history of the Natural Bridge and the people surrounding it. Thanks for joining me.